Words, no sugarcoating, no chance. Stephen A. used the word nightmarish yesterday when the news came down even before the diagnosis was final, and unfortunately for Klay Thompson, it is the worst possible news he could get. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, presented by Progressive Insurance. All of our guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. It's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Jay, let's get right into it. You mentioned this yesterday on the program.
I'm glad they're playing the Zen music for me because I had to be zenned out throughout this whole thing with Klay. It's made me sick to my stomach. Zubin.
No doubt about it. I can understand the personal experience you've had with injuries and the fact that Klay could be back in time for the 2021-2022 season. But Jay, that would be almost 2.5 years away from basketball at the highest level.
So he tore his ACL on his left knee in that game against Toronto, June 13th, 2019. You fast forward 16 months later, he is working out. And look, everybody's body's different, but it seemed like he was recovering off the ACL injury pretty well. Mm-hmm. He was going to be back to what he was, Klay. But you can't always say that off an ACL injury, even though technology is better today than what it is, 5 years ago. For him now to tear his Achilles in the opposite leg, obviously that comes from compensating. And the thing I feel horrible about is Zubin, you said, it probably be 2 years and 4 months until he's able to play on the NBA court again, like in competition, in a game. And I think ultimately what you feel so bad about is, look, from somebody who's been through years of, just going through rehab, like the rehab fatigue, Keeg, right? Like going through it every day, 2 days a week, like 2 times a day to get back. Like ultimately, like I think he's going to come back. I don't know if he's going to be the same player as he was before. I'm not sure. The guy was, one of the things that made him so great is that defensively, he was a stopper. You could put him on the opposing team's best player, and he will go out and lock up, and then also give you 35, 40 points some nights. Big-time offensive player. I don't know if he gets back to that caliber of player again, and that changes the dynamic of this dynasty. This dynasty is no more, by the way. Mm-hmm. Without Klay Thompson, this dynasty is no more. They'll be a good team. Steph will be great, but they won't be what they were with Steph and Klay, considerably the greatest shooting backcourt we've ever seen in the history of the game.
It's crazy, though. But I guess you kind of knew that it was the Achilles from yesterday. Prior to that, when we were on the show, news started to trickle in. Oh, it could be his Achilles again. It could be his right Achilles opposed to his knee. So he kind of started to trickle in, and you start to sit there and you say to yourself, now he has to deal with the rehab of his ankle and his Achilles. He's still rehabbing, believe it or not, his ACL because the rehab doesn't stop. It continues to strengthen that. Now you got to do both. And as Jay said, 2.5 years before you really get back into real competition on the court. Whether or not he'll be the same player, we don't know. We're assuming probably not because of the injuries, but you don't know his body. We don't know his body. I mean, he may just be a fast healer and it works out great. He's the same. I think most people, if it was on the board in Vegas betting on it, they probably would bet against it. The Warriors as a team, what happens to them and where do they go from here? I mean, they obviously are going to look today in free agency and see what's out there, what their money can buy.
They got Kelly Oubre.
They just got Kelly Oubre. And so there's still some other pieces that I'm sure that they're going to look at. Will Steph Curry be Steph Curry? He'll probably still be Steph and still do some of the same things. Won't be easy. It'll be harder. What will Wiggins give them? What will James Wiseman give them? And even with Klay Thompson on the court with them, I never had them really being a major threat in the West to the Lakers and the Clippers. I still had them hovering around 4 to 5, somewhere in that area, because we didn't know what Klay would be coming off the ACL. We haven't seen Steph Curry in a while either. So it's kind of like, what were they going to be? We assumed they were going to be this same sort of high-flying team, but they did remove Kevin Durant from that high-flying team the last time we saw them, and I understand. They won championships before KD got there, but they also had a different makeup before KD got there. Those guys are a little older, a little longer in the tooth. Draymond, for whatever last year was, it was a throwaway season. He's a little bit longer in the tooth. So it's a little bit different.
Single double. No, sorry, I couldn't. Sometimes it's just in my head now because Charles Barkley called Draymond Green single double as opposed to.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do. Key, I might have had them in the Western Conference Finals next year, depending upon what kind of draw they got.
Why though?
Because
what makes you think that?
Because their ability to score in spurts, right? Like the Lakers will always have the size advantage, but they could combat that because of the style in which they played offensively. And then you wonder about matchups. Who will LeBron James guard? Will you guys be able to sign KCP back with defensively be one of your top guards? You will be able to do that probably now because of the addition of Dennis Schroeder, and you guys have cap space.
That's what I was going to say. Schroeder's there.
But still, okay, like you don't know what the Clippers are going to be.
I'm automatically putting the Lakers in. I don't care about what the Clippers do.
Understood. I want to go back to a different point because I know we're about to break real quick, but my only concern for Steph now is that there's been a history of Steph being injured when Klay isn't on the floor because of the responsibility that Steph needs to assume. The ball will be in the hands of Steph Curry now more than ever before because when he plays with Klay, they can both play off the ball, and Klay opens up the defense so much for guys like Draymond to attack because of his movement off the ball. You have to respect that.
You say
you have to help.
Go to break.
I know, but I'm saying there's a tendency for Steph Curry to become injured.
I know we got to go to break. Hold on.
Well, if you didn't talk to 30 minutes, I would have got my point in. I'm just saying there's a tendency for Steph to be injured because he has to do a lot more when he's on the ball, and that's going to be something you have to pay attention to as you watch Golden State this year.
It's a great point. He's coming off a wrist injury himself. Bottom line, Wiggins, Oubre, Wiseman,
Bart, I'm
Steph,
sorry, man.
No, don't call me Bart. You know what my name is. I'm right here.
And just again, this could be their starting five. Wiggins, Oubre, Wiseman, Steph,